Hey guys, what is up? It is Bibzito7 here again, and welcome to another RuneScape 3 video here today. In this video, I'm going to be talking about this week's latest update, which includes the new quest and subsequent boss encounter, which is Vorkath and Zemorigal. I think that's how you say his name. I'll go with that. I guess it's Zemorigal and Vorkath. I wasn't aware of the ordering there, but yeah, I'm going to talk about that. I know it's been about 5 weeks or so since my last update. I haven't really been playing, so I haven't really been uploading. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that. I've been a little bit busy with work, but I've also been playing other games. So yeah, that's just what's been up. They did come out with a combat beta for testing changes to increase the power of all other three combat styles to kind of try to bring them in line with the ridiculous overpower the ridiculously overpowered necromancy. But who knows if that's ever going to actually come out since it's been, when did it come out? It came out on November 2nd, so it's been about 3 weeks now, and yeah, I mean, there's been no indication of them even considering a release date for those actual changes that I've noticed. So probably not expecting that until who knows, March next year or later, which is just depressing because the fact that necromancy is all you can use is a pretty, I mean, not can use, but it's just so much more powerful than anything else. It's just not worth your time using anything else, especially if you're like I am playing on Iron Man, and the only gear I should really bother going for is necromancy gear because all the other gear I can't really do much with at the moment. But obviously I could prepare to use it in the future when it's actually better. But either way, yeah, that's just kind of been a pretty big dampener on me wanting to play all that much. And on top of that, I'm not really a big fan of using necromancy in general. I don't really know. I don't like the combat style that much personally. Although they did add this conjure undead army ability, which is a pretty nice QL for summoning all three of your guys at once. Although you do still have to command each one of them if you want to use those abilities. But yeah, that also removed the adrenaline cost of them, and they nerfed them in a little bit. But necromancy is still ridiculously overpowered. If for no other reason than it can go past the normal damage cap of the other combat styles. So yeah, that's basically where I've been, I guess. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the boss or the quest and the boss that came out. So, quest called Battle of Pharynthry, and it's not even really a full quest. I would never really classify this as a whole quest. Basically, this is what should have been the end of the previous quest, which I can't remember the name of, Ancient Awakening or something, right? Let me check that. Yeah, Ancient Awakening. Basically, this quest, Battle of Pharynthry, should have been part of the Ancient Awakening quest, because at the end of Ancient Awakening, you go back to the fort, and Zemorigal's on his way there, and then the quest ends. So it's definitely a bit of an anticlimax. And then in this quest, if you did them back to back, you wouldn't even expect them to be different quests. Basically, like they're pretty much the same thing. But I guess basically they just had to have more time to develop the boss fight or something, which they clearly didn't take advantage of, and I'll get more into that in a little bit. But yeah, all you do is you fight the boss and then rebuild a wall, talk to some people, quest complete. So really not that interesting. Bill Rock is alive, big huge surprise to everybody. Is that how you say it? Bill Rock, Bill Rash, whatever. And Moya's up to whatever. I mean, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure what was supposed to have happened to Bill Rock. I kind of end up forgetting these things because there's so much time in between story points, which aren't that big in and of themselves to be memorable. Like, I know we banished Zamorak with the Edicts of Guthix, but smaller points in the story. I mean, maybe Bilrak being alive isn't a small point, but even if it is, I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to talk too much about story in this video, but yeah, basically quest pretty meh. Would have been fine as an end of the quest for the Ancient Awakening. Ancient Awakening would have been a pretty awesome quest, honestly, if it included this boss fight at the very end. But and then it probably would have needed a little bit more of some other stuff sprinkled in between the combat waves and the boss fight to space it out a little bit, maybe. I don't know. But the boss, in my opinion, is absolutely terrible. One of the worst bosses they've ever released so far, in my opinion. I think probably my least favorite boss in the game prior to this boss, which I think takes over, was Siryu in ED1. Probably. I really did not like Siryu at all. And yeah, I think this boss takes the cake over him for being my least favorite boss in the game. I absolutely hate the boss fight. I only have one kill in hard mode, and this was in a duo. I tried some in solo with Mage because I mean, Mage is my favorite combat style. I highly prefer it to Necromancy or any other combat style. Tried using Mage, not really. I mean, not really viable in general. You just take so much damage and can't deal very much back because of Mage being so much weaker than what they're probably balancing the game around now. And yeah, I'm sure I could get a kill with Mage. I'm not saying it's impossible, but for me, for for the reasons I'll go into, it really just didn't feel rewarding, and I didn't want to continue fighting the boss and figure out how to do it with Mage, or even just like tank and eat my way through it. In a duo, I did switch over to using Necromancy after a little bit, and I could probably get a solo kill with Necromancy. So maybe I will try a little bit of more soloing just to give it a shot. And I mean, I'm sure I can do it. Like, the boss is hard, but the problem is it's not fun. Like, it's not a fun difficulty. For me, and I know people might roll their eyes and be like, whatever, because I know there's a lot of people like this, but for me, Telos is still the best boss in the game. Solok is a really good boss too, if you ask me, after all the changes they made to him to make him better. On release, I didn't really like Solok, but ever since they changed a bunch of things about him to improve the experience, especially phase 2 or whatever, or is it phase 3? I don't remember how you call the phases, but I think it's phase 2 where you deplete the blight bar. That made the boss a lot better, but still Telos, I think, beats out for me. Obviously, this is my most killed boss, but yeah, they really haven't made a better one since. But this one is just like, it's so bad. I really don't know how they released this. Like, what it feels like to me, and this is something I saw on Reddit that I agreed with, was that this feels like it was supposed to be like a gimmick one-off fight quest boss that you do. Like, whatever, pick any quest boss in the game, something from Recipe for Disaster or whatever. It felt like that, but then they made it into an actual boss fight for, repeat killing, and it just doesn't turn out to be fun because of a multitude of things. First of all, and this is, again, experience from the hard mode version. So, oh yeah, I mean, I guess I could also talk about what you have to do in the normal mode version. So there's a very small incentive. Like, I don't really know why hard mode exists, to be honest with you. It's a pretty lazy hard mode, very similar to, well, honestly, are there any other hard modes that are this bad? I can't really think of one. Yeah, not really. I mean, because if you don't go and turn off the mechanics with the fonts, which you can do in normal mode, and you just go straight to the boss fight, it's the same exact boss fight. He just has less health and does less damage. There's no new mechanics or anything, which I'm thinking in my head, are there any other bosses with a hard mode that has no additional mechanics at all? And I don't think there is. Obviously, Elite Dungeons hard mode is just solo, so that doesn't count. Archglacior, obviously you have to have all its mechanics on. For hard mode, I'm just trying to see like which bosses are there even hard modes for. I really wish they'd let you solo Croesus. I would enjoy that quite a bit. Like, God Wars 1s all have hard modes, and those have some new mechanics, not necessarily great, but I guess Giant Mole, not really a boss you want to be compared to, but does it have, I think maybe it only has more powerful damage and not new mechanics, but that's like not a really comparable boss fight, let's be honest. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot. All I can think of, like, all that comes to mind for hard modes are really the, what are they called? The God Wars 3 bosses, right? Which obviously Zuck hard mode has additional mechanics at the end and during the entire waves. Karapak hard mode has an additional phase at the end. Crosis doesn't have a hard mode. Archglazer has obviously hard mode. Zamorak doesn't have a hard mode but has the Enrage. So yeah, and then hard mode Virago, kind of different approach to a hard mode, but I like this one as well because it's kind of like you have to have mastered all the weeks and then they're all thrown at you at once in one long fight. And there's unique scenarios on the final pushback phase and stuff that you can encounter. So I don't know. It's just like seems like such a like hard mode could completely just not exist because there's no real great incentive to do it. The only thing that makes it kind of appealing to do is the fact that you get to skip that initial part of the fight where, what do they call it, the siege phase or something. So if you don't know, when you come to the boss, and I guess we can go over there. I mean, there's, grab out my preset. Oh yeah, we got the necromancy rune pouch as well, which is like completely free to get. You only need 60 necromancy and an ensouled bar, a silver bar, and a sapphire, and you can make this thing which holds all 5 items. So that's really, really nice. But yeah, after you do the quest, you come here to this statue to refight the boss, which is an interesting approach of doing it. Not bad, honestly. But it's just kind of weird seeing all the people crowded in this corner of the town hall to come fight the boss. And then you have checkboxes for story or hard mode. All right, sorry about that. Had to take a quick break. But yeah, so you got the checkboxes for story and normal mode, and we'll start in normal mode kill, which I haven't even attempted. I went straight into hard mode because I don't know, I just felt like it. And this is what happens when you join. You're like in this little instance area of the fort, and you can click begin encounter to start, and this will put you just outside the door in normal and story mode, and then you can go over. Oh, it's taking me 10 hours to fight the boss. Yeah, the kill time thing is completely bugged for some reason. But yeah, there's then these 3 things around, 3 little beams of green light, and there's these giants that have icons above their heads. And if you want, you can go to this one and this one to kill those, and then you disrupt the font, and that'll disable one of his mechanics. And I don't actually know which is which or which mechanics get disabled, but you kind of get wrecked if you go over there because there's a bunch of different things that attack you with like every combat style, and it's kind of painful. And I mean, they told you during the quest, but I don't honestly remember. I might have to check the wiki to see which mechanics even get disabled if you kill these things. But if you don't want to disable any of the mechanics in normal mode, you can just go over and do this beam, which you can kill the giant and then interrupt the beam, and then you go to the actual boss fight. So you skip this whole siege section if you do hard mode, which is a small benefit considering how much more difficult it is in hard mode. And let me look at the, I want to see which mechanics actually get disabled with this. The siege phase, you can kill the northern font, which stops the minion summoning, and the northwestern font will stop the bone spikes mechanic. Okay, so pretty much no reason you would ever clear this font out because the bone spikes mechanic is usually pretty easy to avoid, and even if you don't avoid it, well, it can hit pretty high, but that's probably only in hard mode. But summoning the minions is really, 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 really annoying, and that's one of the things I hate the most about this boss fight is all the minions that can be spawned in. So maybe just clearing this font will be a smart move if you're doing normal mode, just to make it easier for yourself, unless you want to speed run and go straight there. I don't know how much easier normal mode really is. But yeah. How much health does he have in... Yeah, so he has double health in hard mode, which is insane. In hard mode, he has 1.5 million health, and Zemarigal has 500k, which is as much health as basically Solak. Solak has 2 million health, but you still have to kill the core and Arrethdor if you're doing that, and the little bubbly fountain things. But basically, 2 million health is Solak. This guy has 2 million health, which is crazy in hard mode. I mean, that's a lot of health. That makes it a long boss fight and pretty difficult. But again, not for fun reasons, in my opinion. And because it is hard mode, the damage dealt increases by quite a bit as well. So you're probably better off doing this in normal mode, because another thing about hard mode is there's no exclusive drops in hard mode. The only thing you get from hard mode is a slightly increased drop rate, apparently. Or, I mean, Maybe it's not, slightly, maybe it's a lot, but it better be at least double. Otherwise, there's no way it's ever worth it because the health is double and you're going to be taking more damage. So, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of insane, honestly. But yeah, that is those are the health amounts. And yeah, I'll show you quickly how hard mode just skips you straight into the fight. And then maybe we can show a little bit of mechanics. I don't know. Because you get absolutely blasted in this fight. So if you click begin encounter, you just get sent straight to the fight. And I honestly don't even understand some of the mechanics. And I did quite a few attempts of kills. I didn't get very many. See, like, what's this power bar right here? I don't know if people know. I'll have to read the wiki about that and see if anything. But look, I'm just getting absolutely destroyed by the one who actually does the most damage in the fight. And see, I don't get that attack. Is Zemarigal. He's just autoing you constantly during the fight, and that's probably one of my biggest gripes with the fight is how you take damage from literally every single combat style, because he literally will spam summon minions that have like 20 plus K health or like how much health, like 40K health or something ridiculous like that. Super high health minions that you can't realistically really kill. You just kind of hope your Death Skulls kills them, except for the little smaller ones. The healer and the shielder and stuff are only 6K health. And you can also use the extra action button to fire ballistas, which deal 10K damage to everything, which is a kind of weird thing that's also in there, but it doesn't really make up for the number of minions that spawn, because he literally just freaking spams them. It's crazy how many he'll spawn in a hard mode kill. And if you, like, I tried killing the minions in one of my attempts, and I couldn't even kill them as fast as he was spawning them, at least with mage, which obviously foolish of me to even try using anything but necromancy. But yeah, basically you will get attacked by both Vorkath and Zemarigal, and they will they both have like kind of specs. Like, as you saw, Vorkath did a Dragonfire breath attack, which I really don't like. I don't like those attacks in general because, and this is a problem with the whole fight, they're really hard to tell when you're actually going to take the damage from the breath hit, because they're doing this whole long breathing animation. How are you supposed to know when the actual damage is going to come through? And in general, the moves in the fight are really horribly telegraphed. There's two moves that involve spikes on the floor, which are very easy to avoid in general and well telegraphed, unless they overlap, in which case the smoke from when Vorkath does his spikes that give the blue spikes that come up and deal magic damage, I feel like that smoke looks almost the same, if not the same, as Zemarigal's smoke that warns you about his spike attack. It sometimes blends together and I can miss it and take the damage. Obviously, that would happen less with more experience at the boss, but kind of stupid that there's two different moves that put smoke on the floor, and one of them is a warning to get out of the way of that move. But yeah, they have those moves, and then Zemarigal will also use, like, it's basically like you're fighting a boss, and then you're like in a PvP world by accident, and someone comes in and starts killing you while you're trying to fight a boss. Because he will use things like, he'll use this move on you, Soul Strike, which stuns you for 3 seconds, which is extremely annoying. And as far as I can tell, there's no telegraph when this is going to happen. He'll like randomly use Soul Slap and have souls above him that you can see if he has souls, so you can kind of be ready for him to do this, but sometimes he just won't use it. And if he does get up to 3, I think he can use Volley of Souls. He'll also use Finger of Death, which will randomly hit you for a ton of damage. And there's, again, as far as I can tell, just no telegraph for this at all. So most people have just resorted to camping Necromancy Prayer because his autos do a ton of damage too, as you saw even through my prayer. But yeah, I hope there's some sort of mechanic with the power that we don't know about or understand yet. Because you saw right when I walked in, he was already at 75% power. So, like, am I supposed to be able to avoid or manage that in some way? I don't know. There are these empowered zombies. That's one of the minions that can spawn. But I tried killing them immediately sometimes, and that didn't seem to do anything. So I really don't understand how the power bar works at all. And it's not explained in the fight. I tried hovering over it to see if it would tell me, like, oh, this fills up when X or Y thing happens, and it did not say anything about it. Let me go in the fight again one more time and just check that out. So as you can see, we got Zemarigal, Vorkath, and there's just this bar. What is this bar? I don't know. Power. what the heck does that mean? It's just, oh, just power. Okay. I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to take from that. Or you know, what is that supposed to tell me? I have no idea. Like, you just end up taking more damage, and oh my god, see, like, what was all that damage? I guess did the mage dragon breath splash on me the first time he used it? I'm not sure. I'm trying to cade here so I don't die immediately, but yeah, here's the spike attack, and then if you wait and look, see that's this. Okay, so it's not the same, but you could understand why you might. I'm gonna just die. You can understand why someone might think that, you know, or like not notice those, because there's two different types of smoke on the floor that you have to look out for. And I mean, while the blue smoke is happening, that's like a high damaging attack that you might need to pay attention to. I don't know. It's just garbage. They're just spam spawning minions. And if you've looked on Reddit, I mean, I haven't seen anybody who actually really likes the boss. And not to mention, after all that, after you do a huge slog of a kill Solok level of HP, you get an absolute pile of dog poop as your loot. It's crazy how bad the loot is at this boss. Because Solok, who has similar, if not the same HP, considering all the minions that also spawn in this fight, has a guaranteed drop of a Torn Grimoire page, which is 5.4 mil. So that is a guaranteed drop from Solok, whereas this boss has absolutely nothing good that it can even drop. The only thing that's worth much, as far as I know, is the codex, right? I think that was, but that's only like 600 mil for now, and it's probably going to go down in price as well, but maybe it'll stay high because nobody's really going to want to kill this boss. But yeah, just the loot is so bad. Let me look at if they have it on the wiki yet. They still don't have any information on what you get, but when I opened my one hard mode loot chest, I kind of do like this idea of having the loot chests that you can stack up and then open all at once to get a bunch of loot. It helps avoid dealing with getting your tier 4 luck applied to a drop when it's happening. There's no ambiguousness about that. Just wear it and then open the chests and you will have your tier 4 luck. But yeah, I like that idea, but it's not so great when there's just garbage inside of it. So when I opened mine, I got 5 Elder Wood Spirits, which are worthless. Okay, I got 100 cannonballs, 3 of, I think, this salvage, and 40 catalytic anima thingies. These things, but the other one, where do I have it? These. How much are these even? I don't know. Worthless. So yeah, and then I got 6 of the new Undead Dragon Hide, which sold for 20k each, and that's definitely going to go down in price. So yeah, basically got like 300k worth of loot. And remember what I said about Solok, obviously Grimoire pages are kind of overpriced-ish. I mean, the Grimoire is really good, but they are very expensive. So, but even still, I mean, I can't really see the Grimoire pages ever going below like even 1 mil is like super low for them. That's, you know, a fifth of their current price. But even then, that would be way better loot than you can see here at Vorkath. You could get a guaranteed Grimoire page and you get a normal drop at Solok. And I think that's probably the best boss to compare this to, since it seems similar, at least in terms of health. I don't know about difficulty or group sizing or things like that. But yeah, terrible loot, terrible mechanics, horribly telegraphed attacks. Like, aside from the spikes on the floor, you have no idea what, like, I died so many times and I had no idea what happened to me. I just got blown up. I took like 10k damage in under a second. It is absolutely insane. Like, sure, it's a difficult boss, but like I said, it's not a fun, difficult boss. Like, I really hope they change it quite a bit, because it needs a lot of work, and I don't think was really ready for release. And I know some people are just gonna, you know, say like skill issue or whatever, but I haven't seen anybody that's even arguing in favor of this boss for once. It's like an actual agreement in the community that it's just a terrible boss, and being good or not has little to do with it. Like, for a flip side of that example, when Raksha came out, a lot of people also said that boss was too hard. But in my opinion, I really liked the boss. I thought it was well designed. The special attacks were good and well telegraphed. And the problem people had is you had to constantly prayer flick, which is a skill that you can learn. At this boss, there's nothing really like that. The mechanics are not that interesting, and the two, on the ground are fairly easy to avoid, but then you have ones that just come out of nowhere and have horrible or no telegraph, and you just take the damage and hope you don't die in one hit from full health. And then and then you don't even I kind of lost my train of thought there. I know I was talking about the comparison. So people are calling for that to be nerfed. Well, Raksha, although it did get nerfed, as you know, or you might know, the rockfall mechanics damage was reduced, which I thought was good, but they also reduced his auto attack damage, which I didn't like as much. So I was advocating for that boss to sort of stay the same, which I know, either way, you're always going to be on the losing end of something. So it's like saying that would be, if I came on here and said Zemmerigel and Vorkath are difficult and should stay difficult and they shouldn't change them, and I'd be called like an elitist or whatever. But that's how I was with Raksha, which did get nerfed. So it's not that I don't like difficult bosses. I mean, Telos is one of my favorite bosses. A lot of people struggle with him. I've done every boss in the game. It's just not fun. That's the problem. It is not a fun boss at all. It kind of goes against everything that is good about other bosses. And Raziel, I thought, was a pretty bad boss as well, and I still think that, but it's a mile ahead of this boss. It at least had telegraphs for its attacks. Zemmerigel is constantly just barraging you with stupid little voice lines of garbage that are pointless and mean nothing. Some of them are kind of hints to mechanics, but things like his Finger of Death or his 3-second stun that have no telegraph. At Raziel, he says something when he's going to use Finger of Death. I can't remember what he says, but it's something. Same with when he's using his big volley of souls. He has a voice line that plays. Zemmerigel, not the same. Not sure why they deviated from that approach since it worked, although I didn't really like Raziel as a boss either, so hard to make an argument there. But yeah, hard mode has no reason to exist basically because there's no new mechanics or drops or anything from the hard mode version. Depending on the drop rate difference, I can't imagine you ever wanting to kill hard mode because being able to disable the minions will make the fight a lot better because the minions do deal quite a lot of damage to you as well. You're still going to be taking a painful amount of damage. I'm not sure how much better it is in normal mode. If it's actually half damage like it is as far as the health is concerned, then normal mode is probably pretty manageable. But at the same time, you have to deal with that siege section at the beginning every time, which is a bit annoying. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of just a rant video of me raging about the boss. I don't know. Have you guys killed it at all? Did you like it? Or, I mean, I haven't seen anybody say they liked the boss, so it'd be interesting to hear if anybody's in that camp. But it's just not a well-designed boss. The loot is awful. The loot needs a huge buff. Unless they're going to massively nerf the boss, then the loot can stay the same. But I guess that's up to your opinion. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it. I guess I think I made the points that I wanted to make about. It's basically what they need to do is add good and reasonable telegraphs to Zemmerigel's attacks. Ooh, give me that. Penguin for me, dog. But yeah, my penguin dog, get the hell out of here. They need to add good and visible telegraphs to Zemmerigel's attacks. I kind of wish they would just remove the minions because they are super annoying. I don't know how they could make those better. A lot of the times they're even hard to see that they're even there because it's just abject chaos going on the screen with the spikes happening all over the place and you having to constantly move. Not to mention, I almost forgot to even talk about the poison on the floor is ridiculous, deals insane amounts of damage, at least in hard mode, and can appear under your feet with no warning. I mean, there's a warning that he's using it, but you don't really know where it's going to land. And if it appears under your feet, you could take like a 3-4K hit for no reason there. I don't also understand why there's two different types of color of poison. I don't know which is which or what the difference is, but I think they both deal poison hit splats. So kind of confusing to me. Could be wrong there though, to be honest with you. And also the phases of the fight are pretty lame. They're just about as impactful as phases at like Carapac, pretty much. The first phase, I think he can, after that, he can maybe start using the poison on the floor attack, and then in the third phase he can use the attack where he flies away, and you have to shoot him with the ballista to bring him down before he does some big attack. I've actually never seen the attack that happens there, because even in the quest I kind of just figured that I just knew, oh, he flew away, let me shoot him down so he comes back, and it just kind of was intuitive in that way, which is a good example of a pretty good mechanic, I guess. Although I mean, it's fine since he flies away for a little bit, but you can still attack Zemorigal, so you're not just sitting there waiting at like something like Blackstone Dragon. But yeah, that there's just like one additional mechanic added on each phase, I think. So nothing super interesting. And then at the end, you just have to kill off Zemorigal after Vorkath goes away, which is kind of an anticlimax to the fight at the end. Like, it's not like an epic final phase. He's kind of, I mean, he's still pretty dang annoying to finish off, since he's the main damage dealer in the fight, honestly, aside from some of Vorkath's specs. But usually if you get to that point, it's not too difficult to get it over the finish line there. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot else to say on it. I don't think. I'll probably listen to this back and then see if there's anything I want to add, but probably we'll just leave it there. Sorry for the ranting, I guess. I know people did enjoy it. I wasn't even going to make a video, but I posted on my community thing to see if people wanted it, and I got a couple comments that said that I should just go ahead and make a video. So here it is, but definitely not the happiest of videos. Overall, I really hope they make some changes to the boss, but my hopes are not high. Honestly, the game is at an all-time low in the past several years for me right now, because necromancy kind of killed the game for me. I'm not gonna lie, and that's kind of ironic because it's a new skill, new combat style. I'm a big PVMer, but it's just too strong. I don't understand why they did this. Like, I know they wanted to get new people into the combat system, but you just like made so much content obsolete and pointless to go for, because necromancy is just so overpowered. And I know people can say, oh, well, you can still do it for fun to go for the other pieces of gear and stuff. Like, yeah, sure, I guess, if you want, but part of the fun of going for gear and getting new drops is to be able to use it. So I don't want to go out and grind for what, like Tectonic or something, go to Virago just to have it sit in my bank all that much. I don't know. I mean, I know I'm trying to go for collection logs, but part of that fun is getting gear progression along the way, and just making my tier 90 necromancy gear and maybe getting drops from Raziel to upgrade that if I want, is all you can do right now. And they have not indicated that it'll be getting much better anytime soon. And even when the combat beta does, or if the combat beta does actually come out and is rebalances it to a reasonable level, I don't understand why we needed some huge and sudden spike in power in the game out of nowhere. It makes a lot of old content much easier as well, which I don't think is necessarily very good. I thought that things were at a pretty decent place. I mean, they recently nerfed FSOA, which is now completely laughably weak compared to necromancy. Even pre-nerf, it would have been weaker than necromancy. Same with something like Gricko. Like, they nerfed all this stuff trying to pretend like they cared about balancing the game, and they just released necromancy, which is the most ridiculously overpowered garbage I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know. That's just I'm just rambling now. So hope you guys are enjoying that, but that's pretty much all I have to say, I guess. I mean, I'll probably make an additional video if I do some more kills and give further thoughts in more detail and stuff like that. I really honestly want to know if anybody knows how or if you can do anything related to that power bar in the fight. Just fill me in, because I don't get it, and I haven't seen anybody who could explain it or know what it means. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it means you take more damage, but can you affect it in any way? Like, maybe we're all trolling and there's some mechanic that we don't understand because of all the ridiculous amounts of chaos and stuff on the screen, but my hopes aren't very high for that to be the case. So either way, I'll end the video now before I figure something else to ramble on about. Hope you guys enjoyed it, at least for what it was, and let me know your thoughts on the boss and the quest and stuff in the comments. Again, I'll probably make a follow-up video at some point to give more thoughts and more insights after doing some more of the boss, because I'll try it a little bit more. I'll probably try some normal mode, especially because that seems like it might actually be palatable, whereas hard mode is just chaotic garbage, not fun. And again, to me, it's particularly the issue that it is not a fun difficulty. Like I had so much fun like learning Telos and stuff like that, but this boss not so much. And yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.